Kakadosh Boker Or. Daf Yomi Masechet Zevachim, Daf Ayin Aleph Amud Aleph. We're just going to start on Daf Ayin Amud Bet, the new chapter, Perek Shemini, the Mishnah. Okay, so it's a new Perek, 8th chapter. Kol HaZevachim Shenitarvu Bechataot HaMetot. Any type of a korban that got mixed up with a chataot which are not fitting to go to the Mizbeach, right? And therefore they have to they have to die. So if you look in the footnote, there's going to be 5 chataot which are brought down in the Mishnah, which they die. Vlad chatat, the child of a chatat offering. Tmurat chatat, the substitute of a chatat. Chatat shemetu be'ala, if the owners died. Right? Chatat shenitkapru ba'alea, right? If the owners got an atonement through another animal, right? After, because for example, let's say it was lost and then they brought another animal, then they found it, right? And the last one is chatat shavla shlata, if it passed a year. So those are 5 different cases where basically the chataot hametot, they have to die. Okay? So therefore, one more time, you have a korban, which is a kosher korban, that got mixed up with a chataot hametot, with any one of these 5. Or with a shor niskal. Remember, the shor niskal was supposed to be nigmar dino, was supposed to get sekilah. So got mixed up with and I don't know which one's which. Afilu achat beribo. Even if it's going to be one animal getting mixed up with 10,000 animals, yamutu kulan. You have to place all of them to die. Okay? Because basically, since you know that there's one of them which is asur bana, so all of them are going to be asur bana. So all of them are prohibited. Mamash, not everything. Everything's prohibited. Okay? Capish until here? Fine. Nitarvu. What happens if they get mixed up b'shor shene'evda bo avera, with a shor that was done on avera, or right shehemit et adam al pi edechad, or with a shor that came and he killed a human being, but only al pi edechad, right, which means that it was not with 2 edim. So ever since there's no 2 edim, you can actually kill the shor, right? Or al pi balim, or even if the owners themselves admitted to it. Right, but again, it wasn't or birove'a v'nirba, right? Arove'a nirba, which is basically bestiality, okay? Which means whether it's the with the male or the female, right? So he says bemukze, or an animal that was done for avodah zarah, right? V'ne'evad, and at the end of the day, or it was going to be served as avodah zarah, okay? So he says. Right, so it used it as an avodah zarah. No, that means the b'mukse means that it was segregated for avodah zarah. Right, ne'evan means that it was served as avodah zarah. Be'etnan means that they gave it to a zonah to use as her payment, or mechid, which is basically going to be given as a chalipin for a dog, that they used it for kniat kelef. Okay, so he comes now and he says like this. He says, right, Ayin Aleph Amud Bet, right, this is 71b. Right? Or bekilaim, it got mixed up with kilaim. Remember, kilaim, right, was an animal that was born, right, is a crossbreed, right? Uvetrefa, or with a trefa. Trefa is an animal that's going to die within the year. Or b'yotze dofen, or with a yotze dofen. Yotze dofen is basically with a C-section. Okay? Yir'u. All of these cases, yir'u, which means you have to wait until they're going to graze. Ad she'istavu, until they're going to get some type of a blemish. V'imachru, and then they sell them. Right, exactly. You do a pidyon. Now you have to bring the expensive one. You have to bring from that species. So basically, in all these cases, so one more time, if it's going to be in something that is going to be a surbana'a, which is going to be the chataot hametot, or it's going to be shora niskal or things like that. So therefore, in those cases, it has to be that they have to die. In these cases, since it's not going to be a surbana, so you just have to do is you have to wait until it grazes and it's going to get a blemish. And once they get a blemish, then you're going to redeem them. Okay?
For the first one, here it says in brackets that if there was 2 edim.
The next case on Ayin Aleph Amud Bet, right? Nitarvu bechulin tmimim. What happens if you have one of the korbanot that gets mixed up with a regular chulin animal? It's a regular animal, right? Imachru chulin. It's orcheto. So you're going to sell it as chulin. Right, for that mean. So you sell it to people, right, in order that you should actually be able to come, right, and use it for a korban. Okay? That means basically, let's say, for example, you had a certain animal and it was only going to be used for a chatat. So continue selling for people that they need chatat, and then you're able to bring it. Kodashim bekodashim, min mimino. What happens if it gets mixed up with the same species? So he says, v'zei yikrav l'shem mishehu, v'zei yikrav l'shem mishehu, which means now they got mixed up. So what you're going to do is the korban, each one is going to come and you're going to bring it, right, for that l'shem mishu be'alav, meaning whoever's the owner. I don't know whoever's the owner. Yeah, why? Because I don't know who's the owner. So I'm gonna bring it for whoever is the owner. Okay. Look, you have it over there. Okay, the Tosfot Cholukim. Okay, fine. Next case, Kodashim Kodashim min b'sheinu mino. What is it now? It's not the same species. So he says, so you do a chistavu. Here you do have to wait until they're going to come and they're going to graze and they're going to get a blemish. V'yavi b'dmei yafeh shebahem min zed, and you're going to bring the best of this one. U'v'dmei yafeh shebahem min zed, you're going to bring another one. V'yafsida motar mi beto, and then you're going to lose out from the leftovers money because obviously you have to bring from the best of them. A third case, nitarvu b'bechor maaser. What happens if you have a korban that got mixed up with a bechor and a maaser? Okay, so he comes out, he says over this, like he says, Yirua Chistavlu, right? So that again, it's going to go Yirua Chistavlu, but you have to eat it like the dinim of a Bechor and a Maaser, right? That it has a mum, that it has a blemish. Yeah? Okay. So he says, Hakol Yecholin Litarev. So basically, he comes and he says everything could become mixed up except for a Chatat and an Asham. Right? She'enem Yecholim Litarev because they are recognizable for each other. So here it says in the footnote, the Khatam is never going to be a ram, and the Asham, right, is only a ram. So he says, except for an Asham Nazir and Asham Metzorah, which is also a Keves Zachar. So therefore, if the Khatat is from the Kvasim, is only from a Kivsa Nekeva, it's only a female. But the Khatat and Ura could also be, right, so the Yecholim Litarev. For example, Sir Khatat of a Nasi, Bisharula. So he comes and he says, an Asham Vola also could be Mitarev. Right, for example, El Asham and the Ayla Volula. So Koshik and the Shlamim could also be mixed up. So therefore, what we're trying to say is the only ones that cannot become confused is a Khatat and an Asham. Okay? Those are the only two that cannot become confused.
Why?
Because different animals. If you have a ram, so we already know that an Asham could be a ram, other than the Asham Nazir and Asham Metzorah. And a Khatat, right? A Khatat is never a ram. So if you have a ram, which is an animal,
yes.
So you know that it's not a Khatat.
Cannot bring a ram as a
Yes, but that's what we said. A Khatat and an Asham cannot be mixed up together. Those two. The other ones, yes, because of what you just said. You could have this, you could have that. Yeah, yes, but not the Khatat and Asham. Because the Khatat is never a ram, and the Asham is usually always a ram, except for two of the Asham. Remember the Asham, you had 6 cases of Asham, no? How many Asham in the Asham in Nazir, Asham in Surah, Asham? 6 cases, no? Right? Yeah? Fine. Yeah, fine. Says the Gemara. Gemara in Ayin Aleph Amud Bet. Yeah? You want to bring me the phone? Says the Gemara. What does it mean now that it's going to get mixed up between afilu? My afilu beribo. Even if it gets up with 10,000 animals, right? They all have to die. What's going on? Says the Gemara. This is what it means to say. All the korbanot that they got mixed up with the chataot ametot or shor niskal, even 1 in 10,000, they all have to die. So according to this, now we're saying that even though the majority of the behemoth are really behemoth fitting to go to the mizbeach, the fact that you have even one that got mixed up, kaddish. That's it. So what? No what?
Gets mixed up and this. It
happens.
You know how many things get mixed up?
Be careful.
You know how many things get mixed up nowadays? You know, nowadays they have spray paint for blue and red, right? To know what's meaty, what's milky. And even with that, things still get mixed up. And people still use other things. Yeah.
Big conversation with Chaffin.
especially, especially with when people when they go take, for example, kosher, somehow it's not kosher.
Yeah, you have to be careful.
It's going to get mixed. So what they do? Yes.
So it says the Gemara, Tanina Chalazimna, we already learned it once. Kol asurin legabe mizbeach osrin bechol shen. Anything which is asur to go to the mizbeach is going to be osir in any amount. Harovea ve'anirba. Whether we're talking about the rovea, nirba, muksa, neva, detran, all these things, we already learned it once. Right? Remember, this is talking about the bestiality and everything else. Okay? So Amar Ravashi answers, Amrita Lishmata Kamed Rav Shimi, we brought this in front of Rav Shimi Vatzachina, and we still needed it. Why? If it was going to be for the Braita over there in Tmura, Havamina would have thought to say Hanam, one of these words, right? Lagavua, only to do with the Mizbeach, but it's mutar for the Hediot. Meaning that only you're not allowed to bring it up to the Korban, but to a regular person, it's going to be mutar. But for an Hediot, I would say no. If it was only going to be over here, Havamina would have thought to say only because it's Isurei Ana'aninu. Avalhani, but the other ones which are mentioned, they're not Isur Ana. Elmaleh, so I would say that Be'emet, it's not going to be Asur, even Berov. So tzricha, that's why I needed both Mishnayot, to teach you that it's going to be Asur in both cases. All the cases, it's going to be Asur. But one second, if it's not Isur now, we also learned it, right? So he says, what are you talking about? He says, Mikatani, right? You have to skip out the brackets, right? He says, Mikatani, where do you learn it? Nitne havelo ba'ed, just learn one and don't learn the other one. Meaning, learn this Mishnah and Tmura, and don't learn the other Mishnah then. So he says, Takanta tzichle, we needed the takana. There was a special takana that you have to take it out in order to graze, to get a mum, and then to redeem it. And then it's permitted to the idiot. Meaning before doing that, it's a sur to the idiot. So therefore we needed the takana, the remedy. We needed to teach you the remedy. That's what we needed to teach you. Not that it's going to be mutar to the idiot. Mutar to the idiot, we know. But how is it mutar to the idiot? The only way it's mutar to the idiot, you take it and you graze it. After grazing, it's going to get a blemish, because that's what usually happens. The more the animals are grazing, it's going to get a blemish somehow, sometime or sooner or later. Right? And then what happens is, then that's it. Then you could have hamid. The idiot nami tanili, we also learned it by idiot. Ve'elu asurim ve'osrim b'chol she'en yain esav avodah kachuvim v'shor niskal. So it comes out that it's also going to be asur. So answers the Gemara.
You're gonna play Mish. You're gonna sell it.
Gemara, there's a Gemara tzricha, you need it. Ti'i mehatam, but if it's going to be over there, I would have had to have a mina leidiot. Aval gavoa batu the shamayim emelon. So you're not going to make everything get lost, but it should be batel berov. If it's only going to be over here, I mean, the kochim only captured the mice. Bachulin the lo mice, right? I would say it's going to be surah nala bitul that it should be batel berov. So tzricha, that's why I need both cases.